Hi everyone, and welcome to week 1, day number 5 of my ChessGoals 12-week study plan. At ChessGoals, we have premium study plans that are based on data analysis that we've done to figure out the best ways to improve your chess. So I'll put some links in the description below on ChessGoals study plans and how they work. So what I've done with my current ChessGoals study plan is I've printed them out and I check off the activities one by one as I go through them. So today's activities were to check a daily game, play one rapid game, and analyze that rapid game with a level 3 analysis, I called it. And that's from my game analysis post that I've done on ChessGoals as a blog post. And what level 3 game analysis means is that's where you go through it on your own. So not just retrying mistakes, but really go through the whole game and try to create a couple takeaways from the game and looking at the critical moments, things you can improve on, things you did well, that kind of thing. So this game, I was playing the white pieces, and I started out with d4, and we see sort of a King's Indian set up by black. And this is something that I'll be creating a repertoire for the ChessGoals website. We're going to have like a Catalan-based repertoire, I think, for white. We just recently came out with our Caro-Kann repertoire for black, which has been getting really good feedback so far. I'm very happy to see that. So we're going to come out probably with a Catalan repertoire for white next, and then maybe a black repertoire against d4 after that. And I'm thinking probably Slav defense because it'll go well with the Caro-Kann. So I don't really have like a certain line in mind that we're going to be recommending. I think it'll be a kingside fiend kettle, so this will be consistent with our Catalan setup. So I tried to play a system that I felt would be similar to what will be recommended later. Alright, so c5. My opponent, instead of going for the e5 break, is playing c5, and the idea is to trade off the d4 pawn with the c pawn and then have these squares open potentially for the knight later. So my plan is to develop and just take as much space as I can. A lot of times you'll see a6, b5 here. But I'm really not afraid of b5 yet because I have this nice move, knight c6. And also I have multiple pieces watching over the b5 square. So it's not an immediate threat. Okay, so at this point, if we take account of the minor pieces, I have all 4 minor pieces developed. The 2 knights and the 2 bishops. Black is still waiting to get this c8 bishop in the game. And I do have my rook developed on d1. So I'm a bit up in development. I'm a bit up in space. My pieces are controlling slightly more center squares. And now it's up to me to try to figure out how do I increase this advantage. So after knight e6, I did not want the trade. I see Stockfish is recommending the trade. And the reason that this is good is because I could play a quick c5 and the d pawn is pinned to the queen. So that's not something I considered. But looking at it now, I'm still pretty happy with knight back to f3. Knight c7. Now here, I didn't realize that black was playing bishop f5 next, and it's actually a small mistake for me to play e4 in response. So I just assumed that after bishop f5 I have e4, and that's why I brought the rook to c1. But as we'll see, after bishop f5, e4, my opponent had this nice strike, knight takes e4. And if I try to take back with the knight, my queen gets overloaded. So she's trying to recapture on e4 and guard the bishop on b2. So after takes, I'm actually down 1 pawn here. So back in this position, instead of rook a to c1, I think I should have played e4 right away, controlling this f5 square, and then on the next move I could play rook a c1 and look to push one of these pawns forward, either e5 or c5. So back to the game. My opponent missed that knight takes e4 tactic, and here again I missed another critical move with the e pawn. I should play e5 right away. And the reason for this is I have the rook sitting on d1, pinning this pawn on d6, and black cannot capture back, and I'm ready to take on d6 myself, sticking black with an isolated pawn on d6 after they recapture. And that's an idea that I came up with on the next move, but again, it's one move too slow. I should have thought of e4 one move sooner, and I should have thought of e5 one move sooner. So after h3, retreat, Now I found this strike e5. My opponent brought the bishop back out, but I wasn't too worried about this. I can safely move the queen, and now there's this big issue for black. I'm threatening e takes d6, and I'm hitting the knight. So after knight d7, I pick up a pawn. And again, if you compare the pieces, all 4 of my minor pieces are well placed, whereas black has the 2 knights that are sort of sitting awkwardly on the 7th rank, and my rook is sitting well on d6. The black rooks are still back on the 8th rank. So after rook e8, I just line my queen up with this battery down the d file. Now here, this was not the most accurate move. I thought going for trades would help, especially considering after knight d5, if black is to take d5 at some point, I could take back with the pawn, lining my rook up with black's queen, and also creating this passed pawn on d5. What I didn't consider is what I just talked about. My minor pieces are a little bit stronger than black's here. Why should I offer black this quick trade of knights when that knight on c7 isn't doing much currently? So what I should have done is played g4. This bishop is very low on squares, has to come here. Now knight e4 is a very strong move. These bishops are lined up on the diagonal, and the dark squares around black's king are definitely vulnerable, especially with this knight sitting on e4 waiting to hop into f6. So what will probably happen now is bishop takes b2, queen takes b2, and now my queen's lined up on the diagonal, and I already have tactics like rook takes d7, black takes back, knight f6 check. Everything is getting forked. The king's really vulnerable. This game should be pretty straightforward win for white at this point. But in the game, instead of g4, I played knight d5. Takes. And here, my opponent could play queen d8. It's still an advantage for white, but it's not as strong of an advantage when those knights were on the board still, when I had my other knight ready to come to e4. So my opponent played knight c5, which was a mistake, because I'm able to take g7, and then here I played b4. The reason for that is both of these pieces were hanging, and I wanted to find the strongest way to give a little bit of material back. You can see down here I'm +4 currently. I'm probably going to have to give back 2 or 3 points, but this felt strong to me because after queen takes and then pawn takes knight, I have these really nice pawns here, and I'm ready to just get my queen into g7, move the bishop, and create a checkmate on the king. Bishop b2, so the idea is line up my queen, come in for checkmate. And it's pretty hard to stop. I'm not sure if my opponent was aware of this because bishop takes h3 isn't really making an attempt to stop the checkmate. So after queen d4, king f8, there's a pretty nice mate in 2 because I have this c-pawn guarding d6. So I was able to play queen g7, king out, bishop f6, checkmate. So that was the rapid game that I played today, and that's actually the last rapid game that I have on my study plan for the week. And the next 2 days, I will be probably working on a strategy book. I haven't yet decided which strategy book. The study plan calls for a Yusupov book, but I think I'll probably go with Axel Smith's Pump Up Your Rating. I really like that book, and I think revisiting some of those lines will be helpful for me, some of those chapters. But I might also consider reviewing a Anatoly Karpov strategic games book because I really like his playing style, and I think it'll help my strategy quite a bit. So days 6 and 7 for this first week, we'll be studying strategy, and then on day 7 there will also be some tactics training. I think I'll do my day 7 video on tactics training. So to recap my games this week, I played 6 rapid games. My rating started at 2,040, and I was able to increase that to 2,264. And my blitz rating, I played 4 games this week. I won 3 and drew 1, and my blitz rating went from 2301 to 2456. So I'm really happy with the games this week, but I also know it's only 1 week in. My mind is fresh, And also the RD values on those ratings are high, meaning they'll go up and down quite a bit until I've played enough games that the ratings stabilize. So that concludes day 5 of my week 1 study plan. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you want to be notified of future videos, click the subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.